Hi there, Dr. Gary here on the road. We sell dental practices nationwide. We are dental practice brokers. I was a dentist for 25 years, and now I'm doing the brokerage for the past 16 years. Today's topic is a miswritten email almost leads to a $500,000 mistake. We'll talk about that. As you know, we now have 10 employees. We're in 25 states, and we are available to you 363 days a year. We take off Christmas and Easter. That's it. Always available. So if you want to chat one day, just give us a ring. We're available to you. If you want advice on buying a practice or what your practice is worth, there's no charge. We can give you a ballpark of what we think it's worth and what the market rates are out there now, what's going on. So just give us a call. I'll be more than happy to talk to you. Now, the information you're about to hear is for entertainment purposes only. It's not legal or business advice. Okay? And the phone numbers to reach us are 201-663-0935. And if you wish to reach us, you can reach us virtually every day. The website is dentalpracticeguide.com or nationwidedentalpracticebrokers.com. We have a lot of information there to share too. If you have one of the larger practices, you're grossing over $1 million, you have 4 or 5 operatories or more, willing to work 3 to 5 years after the sale, you might be a candidate for the DSOs. We work with them quite a bit. We're independent of them, but they're constantly looking for practices, and you may be the right one for them. Now, some changes have happened through them. There's been a fallout of some of the lesser strength backbone dental offices, and we can help guide you through who the best ones are, even if you've already started talking to them. Often they'll pay our commission too, by the way. So we can help you with a lot of information on that. Just call us and we can talk to you about that. Now, if your practice sells for over $1 million and we're representing you, we also reimburse your legal fees upon successful closing. You have to have based on some minor criteria, like you've got to use a recognized dental attorney. But besides that, relatively easy. The market is hot for sellers right now, but we'll reimburse your legal fees upon successful sale based on some small criteria. All right, what happened today? This happened over the weekend, I think. It's crazy. The practice is doing offers are coming in around $500,000 mark, somewhere around there. So buyer puts a bid in. And seller, now buyer's already pre-approved from the bank. That's what we do with all our buyers. Buyers sign a non-disclosure agreement. Everybody signs that. So the buyer puts the offer in, and seller does a counter offer of the buyer's offer. All right? So that's the stage we're at. The seller went up 3%. No, it's within a margin of error. I mean, it's not bad. 3% over what the buyer had offered. And we've been asking higher than obviously the buyer's offer. But it was only, it was an offer that was within the ballpark, let's say. And the seller countered the offer, which was within reason, the offer itself, the original offer, but, room for negotiation. The seller counters the offer with a 3% higher offer. Only 3%. Seller didn't want to lose the buyer. I said, okay, whatever you want. So we countered with that offer 3% higher than the buyer's offer. And the buyer therefore accepted. Right? Is what we thought. Well, we thought the buyer accepted when we did the counter offer. The buyer came in 3% lower, and the seller came in 3% higher. In other words, increased the buyer's offer by 3%. And a few minor things, very minor. So the buyer had received the counter offer, but we didn't hear from the buyer. No negotiation on a 3%, 3% deal. I think that 3% difference in the deal. The buyer, we get this message from the buyer. Thank you for your consideration and so forth. Before the buyer is responding to the counter offer of like whatever I told you just before. The buyer is responding because we had gone up 3% higher than the buyer had offered. The buyer responds, or the bank responds, the buyer's looking for a different office now. Thank you for the time and consideration. I'm like, what? Oh, we're going to negotiate? What do you mean the buyer's leaving? For what reason? It's a great opportunity, great town, high visibility. I called the buyer on Monday with this. I said, what's going on here? I thought we had a deal, and we're only 3% higher. With, what are you doing to us here? With that letter that says, essentially, after they received the letter of intent, increased amount, they basically disappeared and said, we're looking elsewhere. So we're confused what happened. I wasn't going to accept the email that said, well, we're just moving on now. Buyer's looking at another office. Thank you for your time and consideration. I wasn't about to. Whoa, it's sunny out. Excuse the sunglasses, team. All right, now I look like a rock star. I wasn't about to give up on this. I called the bank. I said, could you give me an explanation what you mean here? It says the buyer is looking for another office. What is your explanation? Does that mean they dropped out? They're not going to counter offer? And they responded, well, if the buyer can't get their original offer, they're going to leave. I said, well, you didn't say that. All you said that the buyer is looking elsewhere now. You didn't say that the buyer wants to stick with their original offer, which is 3% lower than what the seller, corresponded to. But that miscommunication almost led to a $500,000 loss for the seller, because they said, please clarify what you're talking about. Rather than saying to the bank, oh, we're not accepting that, or what can we do? No, they just came out and said the buyer is sticking with their original offer. And there was no comment from the buyer, mind you. No comment at all. So I rescued the deal, I feel, because I called the bank. I said, can you explain this letter to me? Does this mean you're dropping out? Does this mean the doctor is dropping out? The bank responds, no. It means that if they can't get their dollar amount offered, that is 3% higher than the seller came out with, counter-offered, they're just going to look for another practice. I said, well, according to your letter, Mr. Banker, they already started looking at another practice. And the deal is done, because the buyer, you ended the conversation, or you made a note that, thank you for your time, buyer and broker. Buyer's looking for a different practice. Miscommunication cost almost $500,000 because somebody miscommunicated. I couldn't believe it. But it happened. They just miscommunicated. You've got to watch everything, every moving part constantly. But even the smallest things may not seem like anything. It just blows up after that. So be aware of that. All right, team, that's it for the day. Make sure you sign up for our cruise in next one's coming up mid-April. That is the one for China. It's like 17 days, I think. Oh, it's going to be great. I'm really excited for that. We're going to have a great cruise, great crew, great topics. It's not too late. It leaves in a week. You can come on. Hop on. We'll have a great time. The ship is called Ovation of the Seas. And it's going to Singapore, Japanese, then Japan, and you have, then there's Hong Kong, then there's Kobe, then there's, I forget how many different places, Taipei, I believe. So it should be a lot of fun. Come on along. Thanks, bye. you.